Welcome back to the shop. If you saw the last part 9, I said that we were ready to go here to put the sealer on and then get the base coat and clear coat on. I've changed my mind on that. I'm going to do it a little bit differently. I had a couple of these areas. Those I'd focused a lot on these panels, and I kind of missed that. So I put that in there, and it's a glaze coat. It's a Dynatron, and it's really good, but I'm not 100% sure that there's not little, I don't know, pinholes, little, that you can kind of see right here. I have some questions about that. It's hard to see if there's maybe some sanding scratches in that. So what I want to do is go ahead and do another 2 coats of the build primer or 2K primer over the whole car, and go back in and just sand this off. So it'll be quick, not a big deal, and then I'll black sand it and get back down to and do the 400 excuse me, on the whole thing. And also, if you remember on the back, we had this bigger area, and it looks fine, but like, actually, now I look at it, you can see there's a little spot right there. Maybe it was an air bubble when I put that on. So I think that's the right thing to do. These are minor areas behind the gas sink and all that, but it can't be perfect if it's not perfect. So it won't take me but a minute, probably like half a day, but it's not that big a deal. So I'm going to go ahead and do that, and then the next time, hopefully, we'll be ready to put the seal coat on it and get the base coat on. So I'm going to go off and do that. I'll bring you back when we're either just before we shoot the base coat, or just after it. I mean, not the base coat, but the seal coat. Just finished shooting the hopefully last coat of sanding primer, 2K primer, build primer, whatever you want to call it, on this. Turned out good. It's a light coat. There's not much to do here. I wanted to get a little bit in this area here where I had to fix some things that I missed the first, 4 times. You can see that I don't see any holes or anything in here, so that's good. So it's got a little nib or something there. So once I block sand this again, we should be able to go with 400 grit, and then do the sealer coat. Remember, I had this whole section back here, did that as well. So I did a nice wet coat on the whole car, but I shot these areas first and then again. So they've got about 2.5 coats on just those areas. Now again, most of this gets sanded down anyway. But we're looking real good here. So I've said this a dozen times, but I hope that this is the last time that the doors and the tub have sanding primer on them. You see the guys here. So these, I don't really have what I need to hold these to shoot the paint on them. I put some, basically some wood grab bars. I think you can see that under there, under the bottom. And so that keeps them off of these work stands here. The work stands that I'm shooting on outside are wrapped. The idea is turn these over again on wrapped stands and shoot the back. The whole back doesn't have to be shot, just the areas around the edge. Then do the body, and then come back and do these. That worked reasonably well when I did the primer, but I did tack these before I did the top again, and noticed that, of course, there was a little bit of overspray around these areas. I'm not sure that's going to work, so I'm actually going to jump on the forums and talk to some people and see what they recommend for that. I may need to build some sort of like tree or stand to hold these up, sort of like this, to where I can get in and see the back when I need to shoot, the part that's not masked off. So that maybe I hold them like this and I can come in and get the backs, and then also be able to shoot the front in the same shot. So I'm probably gonna have to build that sort of apparatus. All right, so next is sanding. I won't bother you with that, and then we're gonna set the paint booth up, and I will come in and show you what I've got going on in the paint booth. So one video that you guys never saw was me going through the process of making all these panels. So basically, my paint booth is like, it's temporary, but it's a little bit more substantial than just hanging up plastic. So what I've got is these are it's some kind of plastic. It's like corrugated cardboard, but it's plastic. So that means it can be wiped down. I can wipe paint off of it. I've got, if you look at the top, see, I've got this 1 foot extension that I've added all the way around the room. That's because my ceiling's 9 feet, and these panels come in 4x8 sheets. So what I've done is gone and made a frame. Well, actually, you can see this one here. So I made a simple frame. I believe that's a 3/4 by 1 not quite a half, but maybe 1 1/4. What I did was Home Depot has these white panels. You can get I think 10 of them for like $200. If you buy them individually, it's like $275 a piece or something. It's an unbelievable price difference. But the one thing they don't have is little thin strips of wood that isn't curved like a bow. So I got I think these were 6 inches wide at 8 feet, and then I just ran them through the table saw and set up the fence to, I think it was whatever goes evenly into what a 1 by 6 would be. Well, you'll figure it out. So anyway, I made those. I glued and with little brads put these together, and then I used that construction adhesive all the way around these, and then pushed them down, and then to hold it in place, which really wasn't even necessary, I used staples. The new glues they've got, these power grab. Anyway, I think it was Loctite. Interestingly enough, it grabs so well, I don't even think I really needed that. But I had the staple gun, so I did it anyway. So essentially, you put these in place. Obviously, this big box here is going to be where the filter bank is, and you can see the fan right behind. So that table, that's my work table. We'll scoot it over a little bit, mount the fan on that, build a shroud, and then we'll have the filters. There's 8 filters. It's a 4x4 and a 4x4. It fit in there. Those are your standard air furnace filters. I actually got, not to say a lower quality, but one that would allow more airflow through. So these all go all the way around, all the way down to the door on each side. And then I'll have a little bit of makeup to do at the door. The only downside of this is I forgot that I never actually drilled. I built all these in place, sort of built them in place, each one individually, but I didn't fasten them. I don't have any way of fastening them to the guide. The idea was to run 1/4-20 bolts up there with little wing nuts, and I bought all those and I have them, but I was under the impression that I'd already done that. I haven't, so that's gonna be it's gonna be a little while before I get back, before you see the next part of this video. This guy got its sealer coat on, and then I wet sanded this with 600 grit. I'm very happy with how it turned out. It's going to be fine. So if I can continue getting the base and clear on with the same results, it's going to be a great looking car. All right, let me get to work on this and see you guys in a few minutes. So here's the filter bank. And if you look, these are, each one is 20 by 20. So you've got a little bit over 80 by 40. Look on the back side. And then this is the shroud that goes between here and then the fan. And you know, it's not in place. I just set this in. Obviously this guy ended up being a lot bigger than really what I had imagined. And it's really heavy. And it's certainly not portable, and it's certainly not going to break down, and it's certainly going to take up a lot of room when I go to put it away somewhere. But I couldn't figure out anything better. So what happens is this slides over here and comes up. You can see it will align with the back side of this panel. I'll walk around the back. Hopefully you can see some of this. All right, so here's the fan. The fan is made, the box on the fan is made to fit inside this area right here. And then the other side here comes up, it gets the other end of the filter bank. So let me see, pause here and back up. Here's a better view. You can see the fan slides into the shroud. And the shroud is then connected directly to the panels. It's screwed from the other side. That gives a lot of rigidity to the whole thing. The panels are already bolted up to the little stubs that come down from the ceiling, but tied into that shroud, it gives them a lot more support. All right, so you can kind of see how we're outside the booth right now. I walk down here. This is our for lack of a better term, our door. It works. And then now we're in the booth. So you can see the fan bank there. Going down here, see you've got, and then the garage door. So the garage door comes up, and I'll have a little filter bank and a thing to hold it up about, I think it comes up about 12 inches or 16 inches. And if you look, you'll see it will hit the top here, so that's as high as it comes up, but that's not a problem. That's exactly what I wanted on the design. And then the last thing I'm going to do is make some little temporary panels that and just tape onto this and extend to the garage door. So that's what we've got here. So we've got, these are all 8 by 4. So you got 1, 2, 3, 4. That's 4 times 12. 4 times 12, 4 times 4. So you've got about 16 feet down. And then the panels, you got 4 foot, 4 foot, and I think it's just under 2 and just under 2. So I think the back is more like 10 feet, not quite 12 feet. And then of course this side is the same thing. One of the things that these stubs, just trivia, these studs or stubs are screwed into the ceiling. Actually, there's like hanger bolts that went up into the, not the rafters, but I guess the joist you would call them. And so those rest on this beam. So if you think about it, on one side they rest here, and on the other side they're offset. So I ended up with this kind of strange offset thing here, but that's not only not a problem, it ended up being a really neat advantage, because one, that makes a great place for a door, because I don't have to taper this, it can swing open. I handled this by, if you can see in here, as I push in, this is the last support that comes down, and so this is a little bit of overhanging on this side, and you can see the identical thing on this side, but on this side it hangs on the inside. You can see the last support is here, and so this is extra. So this gives me an area to come in and tape later, and access for my hose. So that's really nice. That ended up working just fantastic. So next step I have now is I'm going to clean the floor. The not like clean it, but get it reasonably clean. Plastic will be going down over the floor, and then come in and do the masking taping, including the whole platform area, and then I'll come back in, put the plastic down on the floor, wax and grease, or I'll probably do the wax and grease removal first, and then put the plastic on the floor, and then we'll be ready to shoot. I've tested the fan, it works great. I'm probably am going to put, I think if you remember the shroud is pretty open, I'm going to put some little, like a vein this way and this way to get a little bit more air, or more even air distribution. It's still fine, but it could be, well, you know, why not have it perfect, right? All right, so there we go. I got a lot of cleaning to do, masking, and then hopefully we'll be ready to shoot base coat. And I'm going to try to get the camera up here in this corner, like maybe like right here, and then record some of the shoot. All right, so the final round of base coat is done. Yay. I will do 800 and 1,000. Pretty much just brush over this. There is, some orange peel in this. I think you're always going to get some. But I'm certainly happy with how it came out. And I will, I'd like to clear it tomorrow. It's certainly at that stage. But, tomorrow's work day. So I'm not sure I'm going to have time to do that. Let me see if I can get you in. There's not a lot of light down here. But it turned out great. The paint booth is fantastic. One thing that I said I was going to do that I forgot to do was put the fill between the end of the last panel and the garage door. I went to do that and I thought, it's flowing fine. Everything is good. But it wasn't, and I didn't even realize it. So when the door is up, I don't know, it's like maybe 16 inches. There's not actually enough outflow. So the air is going around that corner, around the other corner, and back. And if you remember, we started this shoot with white filters, and now we have green filters. Personally, I think the green looks good, but that's not how it's supposed to work. So it's all fine. It's first time using the paint booth. So it's always a lesson learned. It worked fantastic. I've certainly learned that when you do the last tack, have the fan running and be in the paint suit. I had like maybe 6 or 8 little fibers in it when I went to wet sand before these 2 coats, and I think I got like 1 now. So that's sort of the difference you see in that. Paint suit looks silly, but it's real. It doesn't keep paint off you, it keeps you and your fibers of your clothes off the car. Alright, so I'm not sure when I'll pick it back up, but in video time it'll be in about 1 second, so I'll see you then. Well, I got so busy painting that I forgot to film any of it. Alright, so all the clear is done. All the base is done, and now the clear is done. I'm not thrilled with it. It's okay. It's going to require a lot of cut before the buff. I'm not sure exactly what happened. I think I just don't know. It didn't come out and lay down like the base did. It was the gun's fault, or my fault setting up the gun. It wasn't the clear. I did get it kind of corrected in the 3rd and 4th coats, but by that time it had already established Ripple City. So it's not terrible, but it's certainly going to take some work to get out. But hey, whatever. It's all on. I don't have any runs. It didn't really have any errors in it. It's just I just got it a little. I think it was a little dry in the beginning. I didn't have. I have these little lights, but they didn't work as well. This is green is really dark. So for the 2nd and 3rd coats, I use a headlamp. Actually, on the 2nd and 3rd, 3rd and 4th coats, I used a headlamp, and that helped a lot. I could see a lot better. You get the overlap right and make sure it was blending in. All right, so I'll probably take the paint booth down, the panels down, and roll this outside tomorrow, let it sit in the sun, and then we'll start cutting and buffing. Okay, so I got some good news and some bad news. The good news, as you can see me. So I have cut and buffed this. I was wrong about it needing a lot of work. It wasn't that bad at all. It went pretty easy. The bad news is, as I did this part, dreaded cut through clear coat and base coat. Actually, they weren't really this big. I went ahead and took them down a little bit further because I'm getting ready to rebase this. Here's what I think happened. I was doing this by hand, so I'm pretty sure I didn't really get down through anything. I think really what happened is I didn't really get any base or clear on it. This side I was in a little bit different. I'm right-handed, not left-handed. It was harder for me to get in here. I was shooting under here, this way, coming up on this, and then I didn't go back over here. When I was doing the top, I started here and tilted a little bit, you know, to keep perpendicular to and an equal distance away from the body here. So I think what happened is I went up a little bit. I was kind of shooting past the top. So the bottom line is this area exactly right here, all along here, really wasn't getting much. I did some test sands over in this area, and it was pretty fine. It was good. I went ahead and did do, all of this hasn't been buffed yet, but it's down to 2,000, so I could do the 3,000 and then cut and buff. So it's close. I just wanted to get everything in check and make sure there weren't any more issues. And there's not. When I did this side, I was shooting here and under here, and then stepped around and did this way. So I think it was just sort of bad luck. I just didn't notice it. So it's not a big deal. And I'm going to take advantage of that. So what I'm going to do is mask all this off. I don't know if I actually verbalized it, but I made the decision when I shot the tub not to do the doors at the same time. This is the first time I've used the paint booth. It's a little small. There's a lot going on in here. I just didn't really feel comfortable with it. Since the bottom of this will be masked off, front, back, all that, only this part will be open. In a sense, going to have a little bit more room. So I'm going to go ahead and set the doors up in this area here, or against this wall somewhere. I'll set them up somewhere, and then that way I can get the doors done. So that way I'll have the tub done and the doors done, and I can go ahead and do the complete interior, which was my plan originally. I just couldn't figure out how to do the doors and a tub at the same time. But as you can see in here, I think you can see in here, you can see me. So it worked out really good. I'm very happy with it. I love the color. It's got a lot of depth to it. Outside it looks more green. In the shade it's almost black. So I'm very happy with it. It's weird that I'm back in the paint booth, but and the good news is this only I think it took an hour and 10 minutes to set back up. So that's not bad. And I think when I get used to doing it, it'll be a little shorter. And then one last thing, I figured out how I'm going to handle this area here. So I'm going to go ahead and do that before I paint this time, and that way I'll get that out of the way. All right, so I'll check back with you in a few minutes, or seconds in your case. And just like that, I'm back. Yeah, but it's been a day. All right, so I've got this masked off. The doors are now in here. I think I'm still going to shoot the doors. I'm not sure that having this masked off, even though it's over on the side, is really going to help that much. The plan sort of right now is to pull it out away from the wall, shoot it, slide it back. I think do one door at a time, maybe right here, and just switch them back and forth. I love how this turned out. So I don't know if you noticed before, but this whole stub at the top was not there. So I added that, and it intersects with the door almost identical, perfectly. So no need for anything to fill in there. The difference in the air pressure is amazing. Opening the door that I usually come in and out is very difficult now. So I've added these like a wing, sort of. So these fold back when they're not in use. And demonstrate. So they fold back like that. And then I thought, oh, well, I'll have to unfold them and then push them against it. Well, not really. They're automatic. With the fan on, they snap in place. All right, here we are at the scene of devastation. It's supposed to be 2 coats of base on this. You can see I've had to come in and actually take the base off. So I shot, the repair here went great. So this is now good. This will just need 1 complete coat of base over it. And it's fine. These guys, I don't know what happened. I got all kinds of contaminants that were in here. It was terrible. And I noticed that some of them were, it wasn't like there was something in the paint. It was literally something on this surface that the paint had repelled away from, like craters. So I did my normal wax and grease remover on this. I did it twice. It looked good when I did it. The only thing I can think, and some of you are probably going, duh, is I did reuse the towels. I washed and dried all the towels. I didn't use a dryer sheet or anything like that, but the only thing I can think is that the towels I used had got something in them. So I waited for this to pretty much flash off and dry a little bit, and then I came back with the paint remover and or lacquer thinner and just took everything back off. So in the morning, I will lightly buff these with 800 wax and grease remover with this time brand new towels. I'm just going to make those a consumable for my paint jobs, and we'll do it again. And hopefully it'll be fine. All right, well, see you in about half a second. All right, finally some forward progress. This is now done, so it's ready for, well, done with the base. It's now ready for the clear. It's in good shape. It turned out fine. I went with this little guy here. I've run some eye bolts up into the rafters, and then I hung this down. Then I have a bar goes across that I can then hang things down from. You know, I said I thought maybe it was contaminated towels, and that could be, but I also started thinking all the issues that I ever have with contaminants are always on horizontal surfaces. And I'm thinking that it's just a matter of, you know, when you do the wax and grease removal, it's really supposed to float the contaminants and have them, you know, wipe off and down. And I think on a flat surface, that's just harder to do. So I had these hung this way and I cleaned them this way, and I had 0 issues with them. Now, of course, I also did use new towels. So I'm not sure which one it was, but at least everything turned out good. So these are ready for clear now. So we're in good shape. I have had to go in and need to make another change and have a support boards all the way across the bottoms on these now. The pressure is so intense that even though these are force fit, it's actually blowing them out at the bottom. So I did a simple 2x4 to connect these, because there's, you know, this is 8 feet, that's 8 feet, 8 feet and 8 feet on the other side. So I got those tied together, but I'll need to make that, right now it's sort of temporary, make that a little bit more permanent and easier to do. So yeah, we're looking good. We get the clear on, and then color sand that, cut and buff, and we'll be done with that, and start getting this car back together. Okay, so that's all done now. One update on this. I added, I'll show you, I just took this apart. these little stands I added on the back. I had, since this is a wood frame, um, screwed these in to the back to be able to get these off of the surface when I was working on them, doing the body work originally. When I had these things hanging from here, we get this movement back and forth. So I felt like I was kind of chasing a distance. I mean, it's one thing to keep the gun, perpendicular in the same distance from the thing you're shooting, but when it's moving as well, it's kind of tough. So I just made these simple little things here. I put a little cheap spray paint that I had on them to keep any of the dust fibers coming off or wood fibers coming off. It worked fine. It definitely shows me that going forward, I'm going to need to work on getting some things to hold things better. I'm not even sure what to Google that with. I looked at like body panel holders and stuff that a real shop would use, and yeah, they're great. Multi-position, come out with arms, adjust it, hold it, but they're a lot of money. So I'm not sure. I'm not sure what I'm going to do. I'm going to keep going with what I have right now. This is all good. It's got the typical orange peel on it. It actually looks worse as I found out through the camera lens than it really is. Because when I might even be able to do this with 2,000 to start, 2,000, 3,000, then cut and buff. So, all right, and you guys don't even have to do that work. You just get to see when it's done. So lucky you. Okay, so the scuttle's done. I've come and wet sanded and buffed these. It's turned out really good. Very happy with it. All the way back to the back is done. So had a little bit of issue with the doors. Obviously this one turned out fine. This one did not. You can see the obvious mistake here. There was also a similar issue here. I was able to come in and touch that up with base. This whole back area had the same issue, and then this had the same issue. Unfortunately, in this area, I've tried to fix this twice. The base coat was able to get underneath its basically the base and cause it to wrinkle. One trick is to shoot some clear over that, and I did that. I let that dry. I tried it again. It didn't work. So at that point, I've given up on that. But I want to talk real brief about why this happened. The way I had this mounted, it was difficult for me to get to this area. I could shoot upside down, which is fine. The gun, I got the cups system and it has it, but when you're doing that, or at least when I'm doing that, I'm a little rushed and I'm not noticing that I'm just not getting the paint in these areas. In fact, when I got down and looked at this one, it was actually black. I never actually got base on just that little corner. One thing you see all these things on YouTube and you read all this is, careful, don't get too much paint on the edges and all that. That's true, I get that. But I would rather had too much base here and too much clear and had to sand that down and correct it rather than having to redo this. So this will just get set aside, and when I go and do the fenders, I will come back and sand almost all of this back down, go back with the epoxy sealer, then do the base and the clear. One thing I've noticed in here, and I hope this is coming up, you can see little sparkles. Not sparkles, but this is basically where the bottom of the clear orange peel is. I think you can see there. Some of it's just dust that's on here. But this is helping me learn how to get this down. Well, it's not helping me learn how to get this down. It's practice. I'm going to be able to go through and work this down into where I can get rid of all of those, and I'm actually going to go ahead and then take that back up through the grits, polish it, and see if I can get rid of the last bit of wrinkles. As well, you can see me fine in here. Reflection is great, and the lights look good, but if you look carefully as I move it slowly, you probably only need to look carefully, you can see a little bit of wobble in the edges. I like those edges to be straight. And having a chance to play with this a little bit shows me where those are, because and also I got stronger reading glasses. These are 3.25 and my normal daily readers are 1.75, so that's helped me see these things. The other thing is when you're sanding, it's wet, you blow it with the air, but what you're missing is, depending on your angle, is that this spot right here, you can't really see it. It's almost like it needs to dry a little bit more, or you need to be at a different angle. So anyway, long story, but that brings us to the end of this part. So obviously, if you noticed that the tub is back on the chassis, and we are crossing our fingers that it's going to stay there. Not bolted in yet, but we'll get that bolted down, and then all the little bits and pieces go back on. So we'll get all the wire harness that we just now have, get everything hooked back up, and get the engine started again, and be able to come in and check and make sure that the clutch issues are fixed. If you remember, or heck, I may not even have shot it, but I replaced the pilot bushing in this. I did not do that the first time, simply because I didn't know it was there. Yeah, I know, kind of a novice mistake. So hopefully that's going to fix the squealing that I had when you put the clutch in. And then once I verified that, then it'll be time to put the floorboards in. And the plan is basically to finish the car, sans the, as they say, wings and bonnet, and then be able to drive this out and work on the fenders and hood, wings and bonnet. One task to do that is going to be the dashboard, and so that's actually what we'll pick up on the next part, is putting a dash together. I've decided to do a walnut burl veneer on top of the dash, rather than the wrapping the vinyl around as was original. I hate to depart from the way things were from the factory, but I'm a sucker for the walnut burl. So we'll pick that up next, and hey, thanks for watching.